Okay, so guys, now I like to discuss one of the questions I have received from you. So this is the question actually I got it from you. Uh, so this question is asked by Kshitij. Kshitij is saying that I have a question. If we have to merge set of two columns into one sequence, then can we do it using M code instead of doing each step at a time? So the thing is that he has these columns. He wants to concatenate these columns. He wants to join the columns, first two column and then the third and the fourth and the fifth and the sixth and then so on, right? So he's saying that is there any method that he doesn't have to every time go and say add column. Okay, so this is basically is the output. Let me show you. Yeah, so he has given the output also, I think here. Let's see that. Yeah, so see this is John Doe, and so John Doe is concatenated Kim Catty, like this. So every column has to be basically concatenated, like over here. If you see column A is test and then one, and this is the test one, and then Delhi and India, Delhi comma India, and then John and Doe and John Doe, right? So now you see the point is, and also if you notice one thing, what he's doing is that in the column B he's using comma as separated. Comma is using as a separation, right? However, in the case of this test and the one, test two, test three, there is no comma. So I'm not sure if it is a mistake or what, but I use this output as a final output. So Kshitij and all of you, my friends, see, first of all, let me take you to the new sheet actually. Yeah, you see there are different ways of doing it, right? Let me start with the very first, very basic way of doing it. The thing is that I understand that you are frustrated because of the fact that you have to do this every time in the Power Query, right? So anyways, first of all, let's take this data in the Power Query. See, there are different approaches. I prefer the approach where I can use less text and get the more output. Okay, so I'm actually referring to a function. But before we go to the function, let us understand this in a very by providing a very basic solution, very where you don't have to really work hard on it. Okay, it's a very simple thing. You see, this is my these are the columns, right? Okay, now generally what happens, we should know there is a function in Power Query which is called text.combine. Even if you do not know, it's fine, you can go to the Microsoft documentation. But generally what happens when you select these two and you say that you want to add the column, and you want to add the column, let's say we want to merge the column, right? So if you say you want to use some here separator, so let's say I say comma, okay, and the new column name, well, name you can give whatever you want. Okay, I press comma. I'm sure in Power Query also, most of you I know have seen my Power Query course also, because we started a Power Query M code after finishing the Power Query. Even if you never ever watched, I know you're a Power Query person, so you know that this is very simple, right? We can concatenate this, and this is where we basically see this, right? So if you pay attention, this is what the formula is: text.combine. Okay, so text.combine is a formula where I simply go and combine the two things, and then you just need to go and provide here a delimiter, a separator, which is comma. Okay, now you see here that there is some uh, formula applied here, text from, and then there is a type text also. I want to discuss the text.combine function also here, okay, along with this, right? We will also provide the solution, but before that, let's be very much sure that what is a text.combine function. Okay, so let me go in the new query, and let's go in the blank query. You see, the thing is that, so when we write this text.combine function, this is a function, right? When we write this function, what happens, this function says that you can enter the value as a list. You can enter the value here as the values as a list. Now, for example, if I say that I want to concatenate, let's say, A and B, right? So how we gonna write A, right? And then comma, and then B. Now this is a list. the data type is a list. So what we are supposed to do is that we're supposed to actually go and provide the curly brackets here like this. Okay, so this function is going to give us the output called AB. Now what happens if you want to put a comma or space or any type of a separator, delimiter, right? Then the next parameter which we are going to use after once we are done with these, you press comma, and you see a second parameter called separator. Remember, I'm using this comma after the curly brackets. Okay, so if I say that, okay, I want to use this as a separator, that's it. If I go and press enter, you see that we have got here a value called a comma b. Okay, that is the first thing. Now let me use this query in case what happens if you have a number field. Okay, now for example, if I simply go and say blank query, and now I say that I want to use this text combine, this function again. And this time, let's say we want to say I want to join A with, let's say, a value called 200. Okay, and we will use this curly brackets. Okay, and let's say comma and then separator called comma. This time I'm going to use the comma as a separator. Okay, let me go and press enter. You see that what happens, we cannot convert the value 200 to type text. If you go to the Microsoft documentation for M code, as I have been saying this, that documentation, there is initially you're not able to understand that documentation. This is my own personal opinion. I really find it very hard, but as you grow in this M code, you understand things better. So when you come back and look at the formulas, you try you get to understand, right? So if you go in the M code also documentation, they haven't discussed this thing so brightly in detail, right? So that's why I'm telling you all this. You see, now what happens if you put here any number, the function will not work. Okay, this will say that we can't convert this 200 to a type text. So you have to now make sure that this basically particular value should be converted to a text. Now since I have written this value 200 manually, so what happens if I put this in the double quotes and I press enter, you see that I've got the value. Very nice, right? But the problem is that what happens if instead of this you are going to select a column field, then what will happen? Because then you can't put the double quotes. Right, let me show you. Suppose if I create this duplicate formula, a duplicate table 2. Now see what I'm going to do is just for your knowledge, because I don't want that on fundamental basis you should be lacking anywhere. So I'm going to delete all this and I'm going to delete this also. Okay, now you see, what if I have to use a text.combine function here? Generally what people do, we just select this and we say add, we say add column, isn't it? But if we have to do this, I mean without using this property called merge column, this one, if I select these two, I can merge it, right? But we should know this in the PowerQuery M code also. So we can simply go in the custom column, add column, and now I'm going to use actually a text combine function. Okay, text combine. So this is a text combine function for you. So what are you going to do? You say that this is my column 1 and this is my column 2 first of all, right? And then see this, if you press comma, you don't see that separator parameter. Do you see that separator parameter? Okay, you don't see that. Anyways, then let's say you don't put the separator because you're not seeing that. You got confused and you now like to try your luck by simply saying that, okay, I want to combine the values. See what happens. We cannot convert the value AK to type list. As you know that this is, we have to convert this to a list. So we will make sure that this should be in the curly brackets. Okay, now if I press comma, I see the separator. That's the first thing. Okay, so now you see how we use this function in a real environment. Okay, in a real environment. Now see this again, I'm again getting a problem. Why the problem is coming? What happens if I change this column 2 to column 1? Am I going to see again the error? First of all, let us go and check that. Look at this. It is able to concatenate the value. It is able to combine the values AK and AK, right? But we wanted to combine the two values. The problem is that again, this field is a number field. Right now this is a number field, so like in the last example, I put the double quotes. You can't put the double quotes expecting that this number is going to change its property to a text, right? So there are two ways of doing it, guys. One is either you change the function, or you do one thing, you change this to a text. Okay, for example, you select this, then you have to do this for every numeric field in your table. Right now we have only two fields, right? So I go here and I say that, I want to actually go and change this to a data type called text. Okay, see, this data type text is there, right? Now this data type text which I have done, I'm sorry, this we have to use this before this step, isn't it? So I cross this, I basically go here, right? And now I select this, and now let me change this to a text. Okay, now yes, this is the step I want to insert before the added custom. So this is changed, and now let's go and see if we are able to get the value or not. Bingo, you got the point now, right? That is a thing, right? So if you go back to the query one, sorry, the table one, you see basically what happened when they have combined the column 1 with the column 2. They have created a type text here, and this basically comes after this formula. So it's a part of table dot add column. Okay, so in my view, you can always change this to a text to avoid using this type text. But again, we should know both the things. So this entire function is written, so this is closing here, right? After this, when you're closing this function, you just have to write the type text. And also because you're using the column 2 as a which is a number, so here they are using the text.from function. Okay, text.from, and then the language is the English language. Okay, so these are the things which I just want to highlight it, so that you should never be confused that the text.combine function uses the text.from also, and why it is using it is only in a case when you actually have one numeric field. So they basically take this value from the column 2 and convert this to in US English, and then at the end of the function, which means that as a one of the parameter of table dot add column, they use the type called text. Okay, otherwise it is not required. For example, if you see, if I go and merge these two columns, okay, I can do that. I mean, using the text combine, I can write it, or you can just say that add the columns and merge column, right? So if you, let's say, use the comma, this time you will not find the type text because both are already text. So these are the fundamentals, please remember. See this, so this is actually your text.combine function, and this is how it is written. It has nothing to do with the it has nothing to do with what, it has nothing to do with the this one. Let's go back here. Yeah, text.from. This text.from always appears when basically you are when you are working with any number field. Otherwise text.from won't be there, right? And type text, obviously this is a table.add function, so new column is adding, and that value is entered here as a text. So it simply says that it has a type called text. So please remember these points. So that's why I said that if you go and use this as 200, this is going to be a problem. Okay, this is going to be a problem. Now if I simply try to write text dot from, text dot from, I use this function, and then I say that 200, right? And then after the culture, I have to provide the culture also. So here I press comma, and sorry, I press comma here, and I now go and give that the language called so you see that we are able to join them. Okay, so this specific formula we are using for numeric field. Otherwise you don't have to use this. And as I said, that there is another way that we can convert this directly. If we don't want to use this, we can directly also go and first change the data type of a number field to a text. So both the things I hope are clear. So I want that when you look at the formula, you should know in and out of that formula. Okay, now coming back to the our student's question, that he wants to concatenate all these values one by one. So you see, now if you have a lot of columns, then maybe you can avoid changing the data types of these functions one by one, because I know you will get irritated. But since I have only one column here, So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to change the data type to text. Okay, and in fact, if I have even, let's say, 5 or 6 columns which have a numeric data type, I think it's very easy. You can quickly go and change it, unless you're going to use them somewhere in some calculation, because as a text it can change the, obviously, the calculation. But again, as you know, that what we can do is we can just take the help of 2 columns first. We can concatenate, and we can then just go and copy and paste that in the M code again and again. So even if it is a text.from function we are using, that won't be a problem. That's what I'm trying to say. I've added this step at the wrong place once again. So let me now do this again. You see, we have added this. Let's just close this. Yeah. So you see, you have added this first column, right? Which is basically the merging of first 2 columns, correct? Now you don't have to do this manually. What you do is you go in the simply advanced editor, because manually if you start doing, and if there are a lot of columns, you will be frustrated, right? You see, this is our column. Okay, now as we are using the numeric field, so that's when actually this field will be there. Now I have talked about the basics of PowerQuery M code, in our part number 1 last year, which I launched, and I really get a very good response from all of you. Thank you so much. And this is because of your response and feedback that today I'm actually have launched this part number 4. So the thing is, the rule is we just say how many columns you want to add. So just say copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, right? As a rule, I have to press comma, comma, right, until we are on the last line, correct? Now every time when you are inserting table dot add column, even that you have to change the steps name. So if this is, let's say, column, if this is step called merged column, then this we can change this to 1, we can change this to 2, and we can change this to 3 or whatever, right? This is how the things works, right? So once you're done with this, now here we can quickly go and change the columns. So here I'm going to concatenate this, the column 3 with the column 4. This is the manual way I'm telling you right now, but I have a better way. According to me, that's a better way. But I mean, in case if you're not interested in creating a function, then you can use this also. So this is far easy. Please don't use the front part of the Power Query for this. Okay, you can use this, take the help of this M code. So I'm just going to concatenate these columns. Okay, and that obviously we have to change the names. So this is, if this is merged 1, this is merged 2, because these are the header names. So you can change the header names also accordingly, right? Now for example, while concatenating 6 and 5, I don't want this comma separator, I don't want it, right? Or maybe you want a different separator. Yeah, so you can just go and say you want this, or just remove that. Okay, this is how it is. So I'm just going to use the hyphen. So again, this is again a very quick way of changing the things, right? So here, as you know, as a rule, the last step will be inserted merge column 3. This is how the things are going to be, right? Now you know that in the Power Query we have to make sure the right table should be the referenced, right? So here the very next step obviously will use the previous step, isn't it? So we'll say Control V, right? And then this step will use the previous step, which is column 1 actually, right? And this one should actually use the column number 2. I think this is how we will set up everything, right? Cool. Now here, understand, text.from are there's no other field which is numeric, right? But still I'm going with this. If this doesn't work, then we will remove the text.from. Very simple. Let's just click OK. Okay, let's just click OK, and let's see that how we are able to insert the these steps or not. So first of all, you see we have Delhi and India. Perfect. So this is the AK1. AK1 is a concatenation of column 1 and column 2, right? And then Delhi and India, which is coming here. You see that Delhi and India, and then John and Doe. So let's see that. So John and Doe is column number 5 and 6, correct? Now it comes to the column number 7 and column number 8. So that is 1, 2, 3, A. So let's go and see that. So here we have some problem. That column 7 and column 8 we are not able to concatenate, as simple as that. So what it says, we cannot apply operator to types number and text. So I guess here the problem is that because the first field which you're adding here, the 7, that's basically a number. So ideally you should use text.form here also. This is already text, so text.form, when you apply in the column 8, this won't make any difference, right? But now we know the thing because this is a numeric field, so we will simply go and say text.from. So it's very easy, isn't it? It's very easy. So once this formula starts, start the bracket, I just have to provide the language which I can take the help of the very next syntax, and I think this is how it is. Okay, and this is how it is. So I'm just going to close this, and I'm going to press enter, and look at this. I've got the values, guys. Right now, please tell me, Kshitij and all of you, is this not a good way, the better approach? Instead of using the Power Query front part, just copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. How much time it is going to take? And when you do this, you won't be frustrated, trust me, on this very part. Okay, anyways, so this is one of the solutions. Now let's go and talk about the another opportunity, another different approach which we can use to have this concatenation. If you have, every time you have to concatenate columns in a sequence.